Just a minute more. Just a minute more. All right. Um, it is 5 p.m. and I think we'll begin and we'll wait for people will trickle in, but I think it's a good time to begin. So welcome everybody. I am Ritika. I'm from CreateNet and I'll be your host for today. A very, very warm welcome to all of you who's joined from across the country, even from across the world, actually. I was looking through our registrations and it's a very varied group that we have. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have all of you educators who have taken out the time to be here today. All of you good folks working for the betterment of the planet. Welcome. So before I introduce our speakers for today, I know we're all here to listen to Milind and to Prachi from Kalavanam KFI speak about building ecological consciousness into learning. So before we introduce Milind and Prachi, I'd love to tell everyone a little bit about SharEd for Planet, the event space we're all a part of, the green learning circle that you're all now a part of, rather. So allow me to just share my screen and yeah, and I love the people are introducing themselves on chat. Hi, Gaurav. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. I hope everyone can see. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Share It for Planet is a green learning circle. We are a community of, it's a community open to anyone who wants to live more consciously in our planet. For the enthusiasts and the caretakers of the planet, anyone who wishes to have a happier and healthier environment around them. So as you can see here on screen, we're a green learning circle and we're here to grow ideas and practices that unite the people with the planet that we're on. And so that's a little bit about Sharon. And of course, you're here, you're part of the community, you'll get to know the flavor of this space. And who are we, right? Who is Creating Education? So let me tell you a little bit about us as well. So here on screen, you have maybe 50 people from our community, but our community is much larger than what you see on screen. So we are an NGO. We're based in Delhi. We've been around since 2014 formally and 2012 informally. And what we do essentially is we awaken leadership within principals, teachers, and youth. And we do this through the CreateNet way. It is a way of learning and leading in small interconnected groups. So we're a tight-knit circle, but we're spread across very, very far. We're a community of volunteer leaders and working towards an awakening of consciousness in education. So that's who we are. And before we introduce our speakers, I'd like to invite Netra. So we begin with silence usually at CreateNet. We begin with a little bit of silence before we begin a session. So I'd like to invite Netra to initiate a bit of silence.
Thank you so much, Ritika. Good evening, all. So I would like to just tell कि why do we do silence? हम silence क्यों करते हैं कोई भी session शुरुआत करने से पहले? So we do silence practice to come to the present moment fully and to connect to the space so that we can take away the best learnings from the session. क्योंकि हम अलग-अलग जगह से आते हैं, mindset से आते हैं. We want everybody to come to the present moment and fully involved in the session and आप बहुत सारा कुछ सीख के जाइए session से. तो इसीलिए हम silence practice करते हैं. So please, my humble request for you all is to turn on your cameras. We would love to see your lovely faces, कनेक्शन बनता है अच्छे से अगर आप कैमरास ऑन रखते हो तो जितना टाइम हो सकता है आप अपना कैमरा ऑन रखने की कोशिश कीजिए और अगर आप ऐसे स्पेस में है जहां आप कैमरा ऑन नहीं कर पाते, तो that's completely understandable. But if you can, please turn on the cameras. Yes. So I request you all to settle down and sit in a comfortable position. Yes. I hope everybody is settled down and are in a comfortable position. Close your eyes gently. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Feel your body. Feel your body sitting, supported by the earth. Let yourself arrive in this moment, right here and right now. With your next breath, imagine roots growing from your feet, connecting you to the soil, the trees, and all the living beings. Breathe in the fresh air, a gift from nature. As you breathe out, feel your connection to the world around you. You are a part of this planet and not separate from it. In this moment, feel grounded, present, and aware. Take one last deep breath, and whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing this calm presence and earth connection into your learning. Thank you so much, everyone. I would like to know how are you feeling about the small silence practice in the chat. If you can express it in one word, please type it in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Netra. I hope everyone is feeling a bit centered and, as Netra said, in present. Um, and yeah, so people are feeling peaceful, relaxed. So lovely to know. So I think, thank you, Kirti. So now, without any further ado, I'd love to introduce you all to Milind and Prachi. Just going to share my screen again. Yes. So Milind and Prachi have joined us from Kalavanam, a Center for Art, Ecology, and Exploration in Pune. It is a KFI initiative. So Milind is an educator with decades of experience, and he's currently the project director at Kalavanam and a long-time administrator at Sahyadri School. Many of you here are from Sahyadri School and know Milind and Prachi. So Milind's journey with Krishnamurti's teachings began in 1986, eventually leading him from a career in the Indian Navy and a stint in engineering to the world of education. So alongside his role as an administrator in Sahyadri, he has explored hands-on learning in the Tinker Shed, taught science and facilitated cultural activities. And mainly, as I've written in the last paragraph, his work focuses on integrating campus resources into meaningful lived experiences for the students and the staff. And we'll get to know all about this, of course, during their session today. And to introduce you all to Prachi. So Prachi is a creative head at Kalavanam, and she's had a very, very interesting journey. So she has explored sustainability, heritage, arts management, community engagement, and various learner-centered approaches such as inquiry-based, place-based, project-based as well as experiential learning. Very interestingly, she's worked as a museum educator as well. She's worked in nature-based preschools, in the US, as I've come to understand. And she also worked in Mumbai before joining Sahyadri KFI. And Prachi, in her learning design, she always ensures to create opportunities for her learners to take agency and feel empowered to become researchers, designers, change makers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and compassionate citizens of both local and global communities. Welcome, Milind and Prachi. We're so happy to have you both here. Over to you both for our session today.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you, Jasmeet, and many others from CreateNet Education. And also, thank you for so many participants. And I can see many of my ex-colleagues from Sahyadri School and also current teachers on the campus who are here to join me and Prachi in our sharings. They have been part of the journey at Sahyadri, so I would request them also to join in the talk. If I miss something, share something which all of us have experienced on this beautiful place at Sahyadri School. Uh, so, um, uh, Ritika, can I share the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you permission once you initiate. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see?
Yep.
Yes. So, without kind of wasting any time, I'll straight away jump into this topic which was given to me by Jasmeet and Ritika, building ecological consciousness into learning. Now, as Ritika mentioned, I am not a long-time educator. My journey has been through number of phases in my life. Uh, Being a engineering graduate, I was part of the Indian Navy for a long time. Thereafter, industry, and then last 10 years or so, I have been at Sahyadri School. My interest in Krishnamurti teachings, of course, goes back to, in fact, when I was just about 16, 17 years old, uh, when I came upon a documentary called A Seer Who Walks Alone. And that was something which triggered in me about what this person is pointing out at. I found it meaningful but not understood at that young age, and that remained unresolved for a long time. I kept reading, I kept pondering, and then over a period of time, uh, while I was in the Navy, the contradictions are very clear. You have rifle on one hand and a Krishnamurti book on other hand. And a point came when I dropped the rifle and picked up the Krishnamurti book and moved on from there. And my journey took me out here at Sahyadri School. My children studied in the same schools at Rishi Valley and at Sahyadri. And I have seen my life going through phases of learnings, which I consider myself very fortunate. So, what I have tried to do all these years is to understand the teachings in the context of learning about oneself, but at the same time in relationship with everything around that is me. Being in a school which is located on a hilltop, about 60 acres of land, plenty of flora and fauna, open skies, hills all around, and a nice lake. The picture here, what you see, is a lake which we see almost on a daily basis. In fact, I have never missed a sunrise or a sunset on this campus when I've been here, unless I'm going out. So the sense of connection with the ecology around has been very deep. So what I have tried to do all these years is to bring my own expertise and knowledge in bringing that consciousness about ecology into my life, ecological consciousness into the learning spaces on the campus. And in turn, it has also kind of led me to explore about myself. So, To begin with, our school, as I said, is a Krishnamurti Foundation school, and many of you may not be aware that Krishnamurti Foundation School runs 6 schools in the country today. Rishi Valley and Rajghat Basin School are the oldest ones. Rajghat is Banaras and Rishi Valley near Madnapalle in Andhra. Uh, the Valley School in Bangalore, the school in Chennai, Pathshala in Valipuram near Chennai, and Sahyadri School here in Pune, near Pune. Krishnamurti schools are primarily located quite far away from the civilization. At least once upon a time, in few of the places, the city has come closer. But otherwise, the intention of locating these schools in rural areas was to kind of focus on what Krishnaji's teachings pointed out at. It was about transformation of man and his consciousness. And this place lends itself to that kind of experimentation to all of us here. There is immense freedom which is available to the teachers, administrators to try and take the learning into their own areas of specialization, or maybe come together and try out various things on their own. And through these directions and efforts, we came upon something called as Education for Sustainable Development, which is called as ESD in the normal parlance. So I'll just go through the overview of today's session. I did touch upon the school a little bit. The campus ecosystem is something which I'll touch upon a little bit more in detail to give you the background about the resources and the ecology which I am talking about. Making space within the school schedule. Now you have the ecology around, but making it into the school schedule is very important for it to walk the space, walk the talk, in a sense, that remaining connected with the ecology around and whatever is happening in the school classrooms. Various ecological initiatives and student engagement, uh, and thereon as to some of the learnings which have happened among many of our teachers with regard to the kind of atmosphere or the environment which is required for a student's learning. Now that has led to a kind of feeling the need for a space for exploration, perhaps a new place, a new land where something can be started ab initio and an attempt can be made towards learning in the right sense. We also received a request from CreateNet if we could come up with some suggestions for the city schools. So we did think about it, and we have put up a slide for the city schools for the benefit of teachers who are coming from city schools. And maybe we can discuss about in detail little later as we go along the presentation. So coming to the campus ecosystem, as I mentioned, it's a 60-acre campus, and the biodiversity is full of flora and fauna. Uh, we have about close to 1,000 indigenous trees, I would say, of different varieties, and of course, surrounded by the forest, where the forest has planted their trees. Uh, the agroecology on the campus, where we try and learn farming on about 10 acres of campus, uh, aspects of agroecology, bringing them into the forest foods, a variety of uh, you know grains and vegetables which we grow on own using the heritage seeds, uh, natural building practices, where we have tried over a period of last 7-8 years about 16 to 18,000 square foot of area where we have tried to build buildings uh, with mud, with bamboo, with lime plasters, with stone, uh, with vernacular architecture using local materials and local artisans. So this, in the last few years, I'll touch upon it a little bit in detail little later. Waste management is another area where areas of composting, waste segregation, converting, black and gray water into clean water, converting our food waste into gas, having systems for segregating the waste. In fact, we don't have any person going to each resident or dormitories or houses to collect any waste. It is each individual's responsibility on the campus to collect their waste and put it in the centralized bins, which are located around the campus. And then we have energy systems on the campus where we generate almost half of our power requirement as of now from solar power. And so we have a solar power project on campus, which I will touch in detail. And water system, where I will touch upon the aspect of management of the water on campus, the wastewater recycling, which happens. It's almost 40,000 kiloliters of water which we recycle on a daily basis. And then the human ecology, there is the uh, geology part of it, or the ecological part of it, but there is also human ecology where we explore aspects of culture, craft, and issues related to social justice, which also we'll touch upon in a little bit of detail. So this overall gives your campus ecosystem for the what is available with us on the campus, and we have been trying to uh, use them as much as possible in our learning spaces. So as I mentioned about the Education for Sustainable Development, now this is a program which we started about 3 years back, realizing that the campus resources have tremendous potential, tremendous academic potential, which can touch upon variety of learnings which happen within the four walls of the classroom, whether to do with sciences or whether to do with mathematics, economics, arts and crafts, and variety of subjects which children learn within their classrooms. So some of us came together and we thought, why not apply this to the campus resources? And as a part of ICSE curriculum, also we have SUPW, which is mandatory for all the students. And that aspect of it is also possible to be connected with the ESD program. I will share this or amplify this with some of the examples. So what we have done at a school level is to have the middle and the senior school into this program and include the various activities in the curriculum itself. This next slide is just to basically touch upon the various activities and how they are aligned with the school schedule. So if you see on the left hand side, the activity block for the middle school, we have about one block, 2 classes per week, which is about 80 minutes or so. And both the classes, that is middle school of 7th and 8th class, they have activities in rotation where they do farming on the campus, cooking. We take our children to the Zilla Parishad schools, which are near to the school, for interaction in primarily in mathematics and English, and some of the Tinkershed games. Campus beautification is another area where children are involved, and the Tinkershed activities, where children are encouraged to undertake hands-on activities using waste material on the campus. And then for the senior school, that is the 9th and 11th class, we have the same 2 classes, about 80 minutes per week. And there we kind of take them to slightly more denser subjects of resource management, where say areas related to water on the campus, energy on the campus, natural construction on the campus, or waste management on the campus. And then we have biodiversity and the herbal gardens on the campus, which kind of goes with as per the batch. Agroecology, where children are involved with farming. We have also, as a part of our outreach program, helped the farmers to consolidate as a matter of self-help groups. And there is a certain capacity building for them to come together, and school outreach program guides them, and the students also get involved with this. And then aspect of culture, craft, social justice, where wisdom holders from around the world get connected online, and we do discuss with children about variety of topics related to social justice. The senior children in this are also involved with doing survey in the nearby villages, and each year come up with a topic on which they prepare a skit and then play it in the villages. I'll touch upon this slightly in detail little later. So in the next 4 or 5 slides, I'll just touch upon the systems which are related to the ecology only in these slides. So first slide is related to the water, wherein we have a sanitation sewage plant, which is called a solid immobilized biofilter plant, wherein the root zone treatment along with the medium and bacteria culture is utilized for cleaning uh, black and gray water of the campus. So it's about 40,000 liters design capacity, and that water is utilized back to the campus for plantation or for farming and so on. And as you can see, the student engagements in the three lines which are given. Um, uh, while you're reading this, I'm not going into the details of it, but just example which I thought I could share is that when we were taking a class on this system, wherein the children were learning about the wastewater recycling plant, there is a primary system, a secondary system, and a tertiary system. And while teaching about it, talking about it, at the end of the interaction and visit to the plant, one child very quietly asked me, "Sir, this we use shampoo, we use soap, they have chemicals, and that does that get cleaned by the water?" So we got talking, and I said, "No, not really. I mean, because they are very small in size. It is basically the food particles and the solid bigger particles which get cleaned, but some of the chemical definitely goes through it, because a plant of this nature or any other plant, getting the chemicals removed from it is a very difficult and engaging process, and this doesn't do." So the next question was, then the chemical in this water must be going to the farms, because this water is used in the farm. I said yes. And then farms, we are growing food over there, and that food comes to a dining hall. So the food which I eat in the dining hall will have some chemicals, which is because of my shampoo and the soap which I use. I said, yes, that's correct, you are right. So now this is a revelation which came, or understanding came, from a child. And very soon I found them kind of, they said, we will make our own soap using non-chemical elements, or shikekai, or we'll make shampoo made from shikekai and things like that. And I saw them, very soon our tech shop had these items for distribution and for sale to the students. So this is just an example I thought I'll share, because I felt that this was a learning which kind of went beyond just learning about the physics, chemistry, or biology of a wastewater recycling plant, but it was connecting up the whole plant or process in a way which was quite ingenious, and it touched upon something for a child to make a change in one's life. So that was one. And second is about the energy systems. We have about 150 kilowatt of power. 133 is about the solar power plant, and in addition we have another 25 kVA power. So we generate almost half power on the campus itself. And in addition to the generation, we also have real-time tracking of the energy consumption, production across the various dorms, residences, dining hall, and the utilities. And this data is available to on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis uh, to us, and I mean to the school, and hence to the students as well. So how do students engage with this? Now, students engage with this doing energy audits. Students engage with this by studying their own energy consumption, and also comparing it with the online energy monitoring systems. And many times when I have done this with senior students, it has been very revealing for them to see that certain changes in their own dorm, for example, switching off geyser for a day or two and observing the energy consumption, and then perhaps later switching on for a while and seeing how much in the energy consumption. And they were able to make out the difference in the two, meaning that they were able to apply this data and actual actions from their side to see what their own consumption was. And then that led to many discussions about, if I have saved so many units of energy, how much does it cost? And for the energy which is coming on the campus, electricity that is, how much actually gets lost on the way, and how much is produced in the power plant? And then so then small discoveries like, in our country we lose almost half the power in the transmission itself, or 40% or so. And that gives a great realization for the child to see that even if I save 1 unit of energy on in my daily life inside a dorm or a classroom, I'm actually saving 1 unit which is getting lost in the transmission. Now this is again a learning which I felt was in a way more whole. And there is something more actually which I'll touch upon little later. Another green initiatives related to biodiversity mapping and ethnobotany. So as I mentioned that we have 60-acre campus, a lot of plantation happens every monsoon on the campus, and we do collaborate with the forest department because we are surrounded by green forest of almost about 250 acres. And then quite a few times we have also done biodiversity assessment with the help of experts who are available with us or outside in Pune, and some amount of work related to camera trapping, plant adoption, biodiversity census and all. Now here again, as far as you can see the student engagement here, so all these activities happen during either ESD block or with the middle school program. And here maybe I can give example of the most popular among this is herbal gardens and herbal medicines, where children along with our Ayurvedic doctor who is on the campus are very keen to make something like Chyawanprash or herbal shampoo or a soap or a lip balm. Now, these are the things which children like doing on a campus, and where again it is involved with their own sense of their connection with nature with regard to being green in one sense. Bird watching, nature walks are again a lot of students take it up, and being on a campus itself gives, and that connection with nature has a quality of its own. Our relationship with nature, whether you look at it flowers or trees or the hills and the skies around. Now there is one thing which is very clear in that is that there is no conflict between the human relationship. The conflict are largely between human to human, but with nature there is no conflict. So that does provide a sense of slowing down, a sense of peace, a sense of being collected together in oneself and with others. And it has a very a great role to play in our lives on campus here. These are some of the photographs. As you can see, a lot of work with hands-on, a lot of hikes and treks are part of our school culture here, connecting with the nature. Uh, Agroecology is again a very big area where over last 7 to 8 years we have moved on. Almost now out of 60 acres, 10 acres of our campus is something where we as campus residents get ourselves involved with the land, whether it is to do with the farming or the food forest or variety of groves which are there on the campus. It may vary from bamboo grove where we have 35 varieties of bamboo to mixed fruit forest, to mango grove, to banana grove, to coconut grove, and so on. All these groves are available to the children and the campus residents to wander at, to look at them, to be engaged in their growth and seasonal changes and so on. We also have a program running for heritage seed conservation. Now, the seeds which are passed down to us from thousands of years are something which we have been conserving for last 6 years now, and we have a seed bank wherein about 200 varieties of seeds, about 90 to 100 rice varieties, 10 varieties of wheat, about millets 25, and scores of vegetables which we grow every year. We share with farmers. We do capacity building for them to shift from chemical farming to organic farming, also enable them to connect with the markets. Presently, we have also formed a self-help group of women who are taking this forward. School is part of their capacity building in terms of financial literacy, in terms of their marketing linkages, in terms of their own confidence in dealing with customers and visitors and parents. Uh, so this is part of the green initiatives, and students of course are from very young age, from 4th class to 12th class, are engaged right from sowing to seeing them growing to being part of the harvesting, to cooking, and of course the eating, which is the most popular on campus. But besides this, the senior students also get involved with farming communities with regard to understanding their lives, with regard to what they do with their produce, how the market affects them, how does the price affect them. We do have also farmer producer company where children can do some projects which are related to a producer company and so on. So number of activities actually open up, and as you can see that this not only involves the subjects from their books and within the classrooms, but also connecting up with each other, the bonhomie that they enjoy, the cheerfulness of working with the natural elements, and that connection is something which is, one cannot measure it. So that is something which our school is quite seriously engaged with. Natural building practices, another ecology, I would say, as initiative, wherein, as I mentioned, about almost 16 to 18,000 square foot of area or building construction over last few years we have done with adobe, usage of bamboo, rammed earth, wattle and daub, lime plasters, and largely using local materials. The wood which we have got it from the Alang ship breaking yard, which is the old, where the old ships come for decommissioning, and the wood which comes from sea, which has stayed in sea for last 50 years or so, 40 to 50 years, is a good quality, already conditioned wood. So we have been using that. And as you can see in the photographs, that the students are also involved with making of some of the items. Like here, what you see on the right hand side is a wattle and daub, where the bamboo is used and then the mud plaster is applied on it to make a wall, which if you see in the middle photograph, on the center you have the white walls. Now they are exactly bamboo inside and the lime plaster outside. So it becomes a wall by itself. Uh, and so a lot of work has happened in this area. And again, here, when the children stay inside such a mud house, they can immediately feel the difference between, say, staying in a RCC structure vis-a-vis the mud structure. There is a difference in temperature, there is a difference in feel, the whole sensorial being of a human being, I would say, it's quite, the experiences are quite different, and something where we innately get connected with these elements. I mean, that is the feeling which many children and many adults or parents have shared with us. We've also tried to bring in the art and craft into this, as a matter of connecting up the human habitable spaces, which for millennia we as human beings have been doing, connecting up art and craft with our living spaces. So, and part of it has also been done here. uh, yeah, you can see some of the activities where children have been involved. On the left side is called as pugging, where you actually play around with the mud. You kind of pug it to an extent where the soil is ready to be converted into a brick through molds, and these bricks then are sun dried, and then can be utilized for the construction purpose. And as you can see on the right, the children tried making an arc here, and also finished it with the load testing by standing on top of it. So this is something which is an affirmation of not just using the natural material or a certain connect with the nature, but also see how the application can help them to have a good understanding about how a structure can be built. So this children. So we are involving children here in making of eco bricks, making of adobe bricks, the wattle and daub structure using bamboo, the plasters of various kinds, and so on. And the woodwork, of course, because we do have a carpentry shop on the campus, which is part of our art and craft block. So along with carpentry, batik, pottery, all these activities children are involved with. Uh, and then coming to the waste management system, because a community of about 450 to 500 people at a given point of time does generate a lot of waste. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we have a self-managed waste segregation system, meaning that there is no person who goes to anybody's house and collects. It is each individual's responsibility to bring their waste to the central points on the campus, and then school manages those waste segregation systems centrally. Uh, we also have systems for waste analysis, mapping, whatever food which is wasted, we convert it into biogas. We also utilize a biomass on the campus for steam cooking. So combining, biomass for steam cooking and food waste biogas which gets generated, if both are operating at their optimum efficiency, we save almost a cylinder every day. Whereas normal our consumption is about 3 cylinders per day. Using the gas generated by both food waste and biomass, we can save almost 1 cylinder per day now, which is a huge saving. Composting is another part of our uh, waste management system. So both solid waste management, liquid waste management are very much part of the culture on the campus. Yeah. Yeah, here's a photograph. As you can see on the right hand side, we have the segregation bins. And as you can read that there are different bins for different items. And here on a weekly basis, now every dorm has got its own segregation bins. And once in a week, they come to this central waste segregation system along with the house parent or teacher, and then segregates it in this waste bins. And from here, the school collects it centrally, and then it has its own forward recycling techniques or methods which we follow. Some of the waste comes back to the school to be utilized at, say, Tinker Shed. Like, for example, Tinker Shed uses a lot of plastic bottles, shampoo bottles, or say slippers, rubber materials, and students do make various projects out of it. So that is with regard to the waste management system. And then coming to the culture, craft, and social justice, here, as I mentioned, there are student-led initiatives, conversation with indigenous wisdom holders from around the world. Thanks to the online system, we are able to connect with interesting people from around the world and learn about, their indigenous wisdom as it is available with us in our country also. And I think children find it very interesting. And as I mentioned about the skits for awareness among local communities and so on. Um, yeah, these photographs show a pottery workshop, and then the middle, the online interaction with the wisdom holders. And right, we have the aquaponics, which is also part of the ESD project for a class 9th. And this slide touches upon, on the left side, making of cloth, or the weaving part of it. The person whom you see is our parent himself. He himself is a weaver, and he helps our students in learning about weaving and making their own cloth. So in a way, I mean, as you can see that we make our own bread, we do agriculture on the campus, we construct our own buildings, make our own shelter, and when we make our own cloth. So every student, when passing out, at least learns about roti, kapra, and makan. In some or the other way it touches. And I think that's very important to know where these things come from and what kind of effort which is involved in making this. On the lower side, one of our teachers, Srinidhi, uh, was involved with doing the survey along with our class 11 students, survey of the villages around, and come up with a topic for them to make a skit on. So last year they made something on substance abuse, then they had done something on drinking habits, and so on. So some topic related to a social issue, where the children did their own research after the survey, and and made a skit, and then they also in front of the villagers gathering, they played it out. And I think it made a huge impact in our relationship between the communities around and the children, where you're really dealing with a live issue and connecting up with the people. uh, so that is something which has very profound learning in it. And on the right, you see a bamboo uh, uh, handicraft class going on, and children are involved with making this also. It's one of the workshops. This is a senior batch of, I think, ninth class again. Yeah, so far, as you can see, that there are number of activities. There is a connection with the ecology. There is uh, a lot of learning, as I said, taking from the classrooms to the campus resources to the outer environment, at an individual level or at a group level. So a lot of work, as you can see, is happening with regard to building up one's own knowledge, relationships, uh, using the ecology, the resources on the campus around. Now, at this point, I would like to take a slight detour and touch upon something which is at the core of any Krishnamurti school, and that is that what is right education. And the next slide touches upon this. I will not read it. I would request each one of you to read it, and then we will move on from there, maybe. So this is one. When I read it for the first time, that is the it did evoke a question in me that yes, I am an engineer, I am full of knowledge, I am, in grasp of many things around the world, whether it's to do with the social aspects or economic aspects or the political aspects, or the various scaffolds which are built around us in the society. So I have knowledge about it, and I am surviving well, and I'm doing well, and so on. But at the same time, the other aspect, which is where Krishnaji is pointing about, that do we ourselves really understand ourselves psychologically, meaning about the whole meaning of existence, the self, the I, and the psyche. And there I found that no, it's not so. And I think most of us will agree that you know his metaphor of two well-trained horses trotting along harmoniously, it doesn't really happen. Uh, we are quite developed on one side, given the way our education system is, in its ability to provide knowledge, the efficiency that is associated with it, and the excellence that is associated with it. But on the other side, there is a huge gap as to knowing about oneself. So I would like to explore this and then connect up with what we started off with. Hmm. So now, when we are doing any of the activities which I mentioned, and I'm sure many of us, almost all of us, would be doing this in their respective schools or organizations or wherever one is. Uh, Aspect of critical thinking or problem solving, collaboration, systems thinking, communication, empathy, civic engagement, place-based learning, multi-perspective thinking, diversity and inclusion. And if you see, all the activities which I mentioned with regard to the ecological consciousness, all these are there in this. If you're learning about water systems or energy systems, there is a systems thinking going on. There is some critical thinking going on. There is some, uh, civic engagement going on in terms of children being together and learning about, the civic engagement part of it, the communication skills, and so on. Now, this is, at the outer level or outer ring, I would say. where most of us in the educational space or any professional or organizational space are engaged with in different ways, right? And this is what kind of, at an apparent level, it kind of drives our lives. But the very base of it is something maybe I can touch now, where it involves a certain quality of observation, care, sensitivity, attention, perception, awareness, reflection, and interconnected. Now, these are few of the words which I'm just using, which is what we normally do. If I'm involved with some critical thinking, the conventional way of looking at it is that I'm observing something and I'm attending to something. I'm being sensitive about certain things. I have the ability to reflect on something. I can see the interconnections between all that we are touching upon in our lives. And all this is leading where? This is all leading to the self-directed learning. That means it is possible if there is a good teacher, a good educator who is able to bring a child's attention or observation or awareness or reflection to a level where he's able to do good critical thinking or problem solving, system thinking, civic engagement, all this. I mean, any good educator or a good teacher would be able to connect up this and make it very self-directed learning for a child, or at least facilitate or enable a child to learn. Now, uh, the core of it is, as we can see, is basically connected with this part of it: the observation, the perception, awareness, reflection, attention, sensitivity, and care. Now, here, it's as I mentioned, it's connected with the self-directed learning. In the conventional sense, as a good educator or a good teacher, observation would mean that I'm observing something, right, or I'm attending to something in a manner which I'm able to understand based on my own knowledge and thought. But if I go a little bit more deeper into it, what is it that I'm doing when I observe something? And if I see this, what I'm practically doing is I'm judging something, or I'm identifying with something, I'm comparing, I'm condemning something. So starting with my the outer circle of critical thinking or systems thinking, it is coming closer to myself. Now when I come closer to myself, I'm basically, these are the processes where one is involved with. Now, when I'm judging something, what does it mean? Or when I'm identifying something or comparing something, what does it mean? It means that there are certain analytical processes that I'm engaged with, between what I like or what I dislike, what I what is good, what is not good, what is something which is based on my preferences, and something which I don't prefer, something I have some fear about, and something which I don't have any fear about. So all this comparison, judgment, identification is based on these likes, dislike, the dualities, and so on, right? Now, when it comes to these dualities, they are again coming from the basic aspects of what is presented here, that is the fear, insecurity, anger, desire, pleasure, greed, joy, and envy. Now, this is where Krishnaji is pointing out that on one side, while I'm good with my knowledge systems about the world around, but when I look at this, I find myself at sea. I have not understood what fear is for thousands of years. I am still angry for thousands of years. I'm still greedy for thousands of years. And while I have the ability to think, the thought process is with me, but it still remains limited in overcoming any of this. If you see, all our actions today are actually driven by basically these elements in our lives, and understanding these elements is what is Krishnaji has pointed out at a very fundamental, in a very fundamental way, and in a way he terms it as understanding of self or self knowledge. And where can one arrive at an understanding where one can see that knowledge which I am so proud of, and which I give so much of importance, is limited, which is based on thought, is limited. And there is a more and more need to understand this, because this is the gap which is increasing in today's education system between the outer ring of what we are trying to achieve and make the world a better place, but the inner part of it, which is where the slide is presenting, is uh, somewhere, as in the initial slide I mentioned, is a weak baby. So there is a lot of work which is required to be done, and that is where puts a question that, is there a possibility to overcome or understand this and free oneself? And Krishnaji points out that when one is free from fear or insecurity or anger or greed, or at least is able to understand, then that is the real freedom. And can that uh, be a space? Can we provide, or can we create such a space where a child has a possibility of learning? So that is where we come to the next slide, because the whole system of education is about being creative, not only in the educational sense but also in understanding oneself. So this slide talks about a statement by Krishnamurti. So it is very important to find out what it is to be creative. You can be creative only when there is abandonment, which means really when there is no sense of compulsion, no fear of not being, of not gaining, of not arriving. Then there is great austerity, simplicity, and with it there is love. The whole of that is beauty, the state of creativeness. Isn't this what every child wants? Is a question. And can we provide a space for it? And we are at Krishnamurti Foundation, we are making a small effort towards this. And I would request now Prachi to take over and share about this new space which is coming up. Uh, as I said, a place where there is no sense of compulsion, no fear of not being, of not gaining, of not arriving. So, can I request Prachi?
Yeah. And if you could go to the next slide, please. So we are coming up with a new initiative called Kalavanam, a center for art, ecology, and exploration. We hope for it to be a space where learning is by doing, embodied learning, learning that is sensory, where you're working with your hands, heart, and head. Oftentimes within our classrooms, we are learning mostly through our heads, and the hand and the heart kind of get left behind. So, this is our humble attempt to create a space where it can bring in a quality of collaboration as well as contemplation, a quality of learning from each other as well as kind of journeying within. We'll go to the next slide because we're running out of time. I don't want to take too much time. These are some of the long-term program possibilities in that space. I'll focus more on the school programs. We're hoping to be able to host various schools in this space in the maybe in about a year and a half or two. We should have the space ready to start some programs there. And these are programs where we think that we could build bridges between the urban and the rural, between, again, the head, hand, heart, between various polarities. And we see that our society is becoming more and more polarized in some ways, where a lot of our urban kids don't understand what our artisans are doing and why are they making things with their hands, because they don't understand where the goods they buy are coming from and what goes into that, whether that's food or textiles or buildings we live in, and what kind of impact it has. So it's also a way to build our future generation to become more sensitive to some of these ecological and cultural issues. I will just let you observe the slide for a bit. And then we'll kind of just have the last slide put up. These are things that you might already be doing in your school. But we thought we would just put it up as a suggestion while we answer questions. If you can go to the next slide. So here are just some activities that we thought could be applicable to any space, similar to the activities we do on campus. Ritika, if you want to open it up to a Q&A, we can do that, and we can take, go into any of these as questions come up.
Thank you, Prachi, and thank you, Milind. I think there's a lot that you have opened up for us to think about. A lot of visuals, a lot of examples that you've shared are staying in my mind. So I'd like to open it up to everybody here. So we'll begin our question and answer section of today. There are already a lot of questions that I see on the chat, so perhaps I can pick them up and we can begin from there. If anybody would like to speak a question, you can just raise your hand on Zoom and we'll get to you. Okay. So I think Vivek has helped me curate the questions. So how about I begin with the last question, Meena ji's question. So Meena ji has asked, what challenges do you face in building this ecosystem in school at the start and even now? Then she's also written, I think her personal challenges, which is less space outside the school, there's dirty sewage, there are narrow pathways, etc. So either Prachi or Milind, you can take up this question. I'll just paste it once more on chat.
Yeah. So, so maybe I can touch upon the logistics part of it to begin with, and maybe Prachi could touch upon the pedagogical aspects. The logistical aspects are, coming together of people who are deeply passionate about it. I think that is something which makes it most easier. We were, I would say, when we started with this program, we are fortunate to have number of people inspired to take this up. We had I don't know whether Reena is here or not, but Reena, Pragnya, Deepa, Prachi, Sarath, Shrinidhi. So many of them came together. Many of us came together. Now that was first thing. Second was about the logistics part of it, wherein we managed to involve everybody from bottom up to top to convince people, talk about it more often. We had a land care group on the campus which got converted into the ESD group, and every week we would meet, every fortnight we would meet and talk about it, and take the questions forward. And we managed to get the our maintenance team, our gardening team, and others, whoever could be part of it. So essentially everyone on the campus became a teacher in his own right, I would say. That was important to everyone to feel that they are doing something which is not just for the environment, for the children, but for their own understanding. I think that was very important. So that was the second part. And third is the material part of it, which once the people come together, then that's a matter of detail and it happens. That's what I would say. Yeah, Prachi.
Yeah, I would say that we are living in a very unique time, and our children are growing up in very unique times where there are such humongous environmental issues that it can be quite overwhelming for them. One of the things that a lot of experts believe is that the best way to get them to engage with these issues is to empower them to make a change, however small it is. So, in Meenaji's example, she's talking about sewage outside the school. Uh, Maybe get the children involved in a design thinking process where you're really looking at who are the people using this space, where is the sewage coming from, uh, map the sewage in your area, get some stakeholders together. I had a student I was mentoring once. She did a project. She actually saw a police station in her neighborhood that whose courtyard was completely in ruin. It was just a dump. And she decided she wanted to beautify it. So she went and talked to the police station and started working on clearing the space up. And as she went on with the project, realized that it's important to have native plants we planted. And she did a whole beautification of that space. But that triggered a whole other journey for her, where she started her own organization called The Right Green, and did programs for children talking about the importance of native plants. So I think when we give a platform to children, one never knows where that will go. So I suppose it does feel like a challenge, but that challenge can become an opportunity in its own way.
Thank you. And Jasmeet was very helpfully summarize your response on Shah. Thank you so much, Jasmeet. Meena ji, I hope that answers your question on both fronts. I'll move on to the next question. And just a reminder to everyone, you can please put your questions in the chat box as well as raise your hand. I'll come to Namrata ma'am's question. Namrata is asking, is there any way to volunteer with Sahyadri School or Kalavanam Center for a short duration?
Yeah. As soon as Kalavanam is off the ground, we will definitely need volunteers. So please be on the lookout.
All right. Perhaps we can connect him.
Yeah, I would add to what Prachi is saying is it's a place, in a sense, it is a collaborative space. It's a space where we are going to, our vision, I mean, as she mentioned in the program possibilities, is to invite people from different backgrounds and connect them together, have collaborative, working together. Somebody coming from pottery, somebody coming from music or theater or weaving. Can we all sit together? Because the basic, somewhere, I think the common thread which is connecting all of us is same. It is the search for something, which is at the bottom, at the common thread. So even while building the structures, what we are looking at it is that whoever would like, because they are going to be natural buildings, we are going to make with mud and bamboo and stone. So whoever is willing to learn, whoever is willing to participate, we will be very happy if people can come, stay in tents with us. We will take care of you, and and we'll build it together.
One more thing is we could actually send out a link to Ritika, and Ritika, you can pass it on to all the participants to join our mailing list if anybody is interested in these kind of engagements.
Lovely. Thank you. I'll move to you, Ajay. You have your hand raised. Would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, I just need to unmute me. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so I think what you guys are doing is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, I think it's just fabulous. The holisticness of the substance, the detail, but also the gamut, the overall this thing which you are catching, from the learning about self to the hands-on learning, to the ecological dimensions. I happen to be a environmentalist of some kind, and I have a long background with education, with environment education, and then I was at Mirambika for many years, long back. And so, yeah, I have a background with, and I have also an acquaintance, more than an acquaintance, I think, with Krishnaji's thinking and the KFI approach. Okay, so but so just yeah, so even given that, and I've seen some other schools, I've seen Krishnamurti inspired schools in other parts of the country. But I think you're taking it beyond. You're taking it to I think include other aspects which have often been missing from even like more child-centered, creative free progress kind of schools, which is that the one of the things which makes me feel which I think is usually missing in say it was in even in a school like Mirambika. We some of us saw it, but we never really got to do enough of it, which is the community interactions, which is the interactions with the space, with the rest of with the society, with the communities around you, and with the rest of the world, right? So while you're in school, for the children and the teachers. So one of the things which often happens in schools which are very alternative is that I've also been involved with Waldorf schools, just, by the way. So, I mean, basically, I do have this thing, but I still think that most of them do not manage to do, yeah, one of the things which happens with the children is that those schools end up getting pretty rarefied, and the children end up sort of feeling like, even it happens even in not forget alternative, even for a moment, I mean, like with the alternative, like the what are considered the best or the most sort of famous or top schools in the country, if you happen to go to one of those, like say Doon School or Modern School or whatever, or in different parts of the country, there'll be other such schools, you tend to start feeling very special and very different. Now, everybody is unique. Every child and every being is unique, right? Which we know. But and that's the essential thing. But you don't have to feel, it doesn't have to take when a school is like very celebrated as well as and or alternative, it's easy for them to fall into this trap of feeling that we are different and we are special. And we have some special, bit from the other regular schools and the regular guys and all that, which actually perhaps doesn't help the children, besides many other things. It doesn't help the children in the long run. One. Secondly, they do not learn about society and the world around them. They don't interact with it when they are in the school. So, which furthers this feeling of being rarefied and special. And
Excuse
so I think what you're doing with the local communities is absolutely incredible. The
Ajay,
research projects, the farming, also the hands-on thing which you're doing over there. And I would just feel that maybe if you feel there's a possibility, you could take that even further. Sorry, this is more a comment than a question, I realize, but I'm getting to this thing, to some question part, which is that if you could even, you're doing a wonderful lot in interaction with the community, but perhaps you could keep exploring space like you have been, to take it even further. And one idea there
Hello, Ajay ji.
was something like
Sorry to
watershed.
interrupt. Ajay ji, sorry to interrupt, but in the respect of time, so can we make your question a crisp, and can you please ask a crisp question to Milind ji so that we can take 2, 3 more questions before 6:30?
Okay. So yeah,
Thank you for
I'll conclude, wind up that basically I think that if that can be taken even further, if you think like, for example, with a watershed kind of approach in the local areas and even on your campus, and all the rest of the stuff that I think you're doing is great. And but the one thing I felt, given your location, and I saw some slides, and if those were off towards the end, if those grasslands and all were on the campus site, there is perhaps place for water bodies, for small and big, of different types of water bodies, what we call johars in the north, but the smaller ones are called basically ponds, let's say, which will percolate, hold water, be great for the birds and animals, and then the water goes into the mountain and it will revive the springs and the streams down below. So I overall thank you very much for the great work that you're doing. And how open are you to visitors, to people coming and seeing what you're doing?
I think we
Or
are,
and participating.
yeah, we are connected to the whole humanity. You're most welcome anytime. Please connect with us, and we'll certainly, whatever you have been saying, I mean, this is part of our being here. We'll be happy if you can join us. Thank you.
thank, thank you, Ajay.
Any other
Um,
response? Anything else?
I'll
Anything
just
else?
say that
Okay, move on.
within a school system, there are limitations of the structure of the school and what the curriculum demands, which is why we are taking this a step forward with Kalavanam, where there is a more immersive space available for not only children but also for adults to come and work on projects like this.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. Yeah, this is a great one. Does environmental responsibility develop naturally when children are in nature, or do teachers and parents need to actively cultivate that sensitivity? It's a question by Vivek Mishra, I believe, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think Vivek, children, I think already naturally have it. You know, that's my first gut feeling. I mean, when I go with the children, the kind of observations that they have, the kind of questions which they have, I think it's already there. We just need to facilitate it in a sense and allow it to grow to flower. That's all I can say. I think sometimes our own vertical specializations into various subjects does hinder. The excessive knowledge, orientation does hinder into.
Milind, you've gone on mute.
You,
Oh, sorry. As teachers and educators, I feel we have to step back a bit and just facilitate. Just see what is emerging in them and just be there to facilitate, not overcrowd their minds with too much of information and knowledge. I think that actually hinders it more than anything else.
I would like to add that the way we hold space and facilitate does matter. Again, as Milind is saying, rather than being very content driven, for it to allow the space for children to come upon their own discoveries is important.
thank you. Can I request you, Milind, to stop the screen share so we can see you both when you speak?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you both for your response. There's another question that I've just put up on the chat. It is from Ashay. Yeah. So Ashay's question is, how can ecological consciousness in learning address issues like humanity, gender equality, or casteism, particularly in both rural and urban educational settings?
Yeah, I mean, one thing which comes to my mind, or one word is which kind of touches upon the question, which is the diversity. You see, the nature is full of diversity. The nature, because of the diversity, there is so much of collaboration, there is so much of coexistence which is happening. And when at a school like ours or any school which has close relationship with the ecology and the environment, when children go out to the nature in groups and so on, it is the same thing which is there. The diversity is getting connected. And I think many conversations which happen in such close proximity to learning as a process oriented rather than content driven, there are many things which are getting connected up in such seeing, in such awareness, with such attention, which and also the interdependency and the interconnectedness of everything. And I think when the children get that kind of exposure, I think it broadens one's horizon. It broadens the way one look at it. It also brings up, different opinions and different ideas among the children. And we have seen children, they among themselves, they can have conversations, a dialogue, and bit of facilitation by teacher concern to explore these issues. And I think wherever these relationships with the nature have stepped back, the problems of the kind which you've just mentioned have risen. So somewhere I feel our deeper connections with nature needs to be given attention, because that itself quietens down a large divisive ideas in our minds, which is where is quite visible in, unfortunately, in the society today. uh, I think somewhere our connection with nature is, we are losing it, and it's more of mind game now, more of mind which is divisive in nature. and mind essentially is divisive in nature. Uh, so that's where we are. I mean, so that's how I would just simply look at it. You know, maybe Prachi can add more.
No, I think even during our interactions with indigenous wisdom holders from around the world, it was very revealing how a lot of tribal communities don't really fall within the very conventional ideas of gender or caste or any of that. And I feel that it's important when we value certain indigenous knowledge systems that unfortunately have not been valued over the last few decades by our education system. There is sort of a different perspective that children also gain in looking at um, some of these conventional ideas.
Surendra has a question, and perhaps this could be a final question. Surendra, would you like to unmute yourself, very briefly introduce yourself, and then just state your question? If you would like. I think it would just be nice to have you ask your question. Are you still here, Surendra? Okay,
Yes,
perhaps
ma'am.
not. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Can I speak in Hindi?
Yes.
हाँ,
Please.
बिल्कुल. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
बोलिए बोलिए.
सर ये जो आपने प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किया है कलावनम, इसका क्या फंक्शन होगा और ये मतलब स्कूल से स्वतंत्र होगा और किस तरीके से इसके कार्य होगा, मतलब किस टाइप के वॉलेंटियर्स इसको चाहिए और ये किन लोगों को होस्ट करेगा या इसकी एक्टिविटीज क्या होगी, किन क्षेत्रों में ये कार्य करेगा मतलब.
Prachi, can I request you?
या इसके लिए और 40 मिनट लगेगी पर बिल्कुल शॉर्ट में बता रहे हैं कि ये केएफआई के अंडर है, डायरेक्टली केएफआई के अंडर है, सह्याद्री स्कूल से जुड़ा हुआ रहेगा, तो सह्याद्री स्कूल के अंडर नहीं है ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. तो ये तो उसका फंक्शनिंग हो गया. और हम लोग जैसे हमने वो स्लाइड में बताया था, काफ़ी अलग अलग प्रोजेक्ट्स करने वाले हैं. जो ऑडियंस उसका बच्चे भी रहेंगे, बड़े भी रहेंगे, आर्टिजन्स भी रहेंगे, कंटेम्प्रेरी आर्टिस्ट भी रहेंगे, डिज़ाइनर्स, साइंटिस्ट, सबको हम जोड़ना चाहते हैं क्योंकि हमारी लाइफ जो है बहुत बट गई है. तो हम चाहते हैं कि ये जो जगह है वो सबको साथ में लाए.
मैम इसके लिए कहाँ आना पड़ेगा,
volunteer
किससे कांटेक्ट करना पड़ेगा?
तो वील सेंड आउट अ लिंक. आप मेलिंग लिस्ट में अपना नाम डाल सकते हैं, हम आपको अपडेट करते रहेंगे जब भी वॉलंटियर. अभी तो बहुत मतलब बहुत ही बिगिनिंग स्टेज में है ये प्रोजेक्ट. तो एक बार थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़े तो डेफिनेटली वी विल नीड वॉलंटियर्स, तो फिर हम मेलिंग लिस्ट पे जरूर भेजेंगे.
थैंक यू मैम.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes for one last question. अगर किसी को पूछना है, कुछ रह गया तो. Does anyone have a final question for Milind and Prachi?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Komal. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, just a very quick question. No, we are in the urban. We are in East Delhi, and we are an after-school education center for the children living in the slums. So we have one fortunate big terrace, and I wanted to develop a terrace garden. Because this whole conversation about environment and the children getting involved, and it's little tough when you're sort of in a slum-like area with very little green. But I'm just wondering. I know I should be looking myself, but 3 minutes, so I thought I'll ask. To develop a terrace garden and also I thought I should have done this long time ago, but I'm more inspired now that we must get them putting the garbage in separate sort of bins at least, get them doing that. We talk about it, but we haven't done it. So to develop a terrace garden in a city in Delhi, like, is that something very, because of intense heat, intense cold, and we are on the terrace? Is it something doable? I'm just asking because I'm not a green person or a gardening person, and it's a project I want to do, and I've received a little money for it. So I just wanted to ask if someone might advise
It's
me.
very much possible. In fact, I know in Pune there are a lot of residents on the upper floors. They have terrace gardens and doing very well. So maybe I can share some details with you through email or so, and we can help
Oh,
you out.
that would be so wonderful. I
Right.
would be really, really grateful. I'll take the contacts for you.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And it's
Also, when I
very
work,
inspiring, very inspiring.
Mm.
I was reading Krishnamurti more than 30 years ago. I haven't read him recently. And it's just very inspiring to hear everything. And to
also
try
when
and
I
bring it,
worked in
to try
Bombay,
and bring it into the city is the main thing. Try and bring it to the children in the slums. That is the challenge.
I just wanted to add that when I worked in Bombay in a school, it's definitely challenging to work within urban areas. But we often forget that the urban areas have a lot of resources. So close to my school, there was a place called the Mahim Nature Park, where they had converted an entire garbage dump into a botanical garden. So there are
I've heard about
definitely
this.
models to look at.
Mm. We do take
And
them to the bird sanctuary. We do try to get them out into nature. But I thought the terrace garden would be great because then they could develop it.
And Komal, as Jasmeet has pointed out on chat, the WhatsApp group that we've shared, if you join it, there are a lot of people there who would also be happy to help you. And I'll definitely connect you with Milind and Prachi via email as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Komal.
Hi,
And
Komal, Ravina this side. We
sorry,
also have a terrace garden in Panchkula. So maybe you can connect with us and we can help you out.
Oh, lovely. Thank
maybe
you.
you go connect on chat while I okay, Jasmeet, maybe we can get to your
Komal,
question.
we do a lot of this in Delhi. We do a lot of terrace gardens in Delhi, so we can connect on the group if you want. If you're in Delhi NCR.
She is. Thank you,
Okay,
Ajay.
great. Yeah.
All right. Jasmeet will get your question post closing. In fact, anyone who has any other questions, you can stay back after 6:30 to ask Milind and Prachi your questions post 6:30. Thank you.
I'll just ask very briefly so that I don't take up too much of your time. Just wanted to get a sense of your challenges. So today, from where you are to where you're heading to, what challenges are you facing in implementing this? And I think quite a few of us asked on the chat, when you started on this journey, what kind of challenges did you have in trying to put this together for a school? Because many people out here are educators who might be starting in this.
Yeah, yes, I mean, I quite understand. We also had our own fair challenges to begin with. One of the challenge was, um, the coming together also to begin with, because though people are interested, and I think all of us have that greenness in us, but to evoke a certain quality of greenness or environment orientation which should be able to convert into action is the challenge. So I think all of us have that, but there are some of us who are more action oriented in a way, and I think that needs to be identified. And that was one of the challenges. Second challenge was also because, you see, in a school every teacher is a specialist. A physics teacher is a specialist, chemistry teacher is a specialist, biology, mathematics teacher, so everybody is in their classrooms. Huh? Oh, yeah. So everyone is a specialist in a school, and specialization creates its own problems. with regard to coming together. So that was another challenge where can I leave my physics behind? Can I leave my biology or mathematics behind and then come? That has a different quality to it and an energy to it. So that was the, and of course there are challenges of, say, for example, bringing into the curriculum number of periods to be allocated and who is going to do that, and so curriculum was another part of it. The biggest challenge which I found in my own personal engagement with this was to connect the, for example, I'll give you a wastewater system, to connect the physics, chemistry, biology of that with what is being taught in the test book. Now that is something, if the teacher is interested and more action oriented, you'll find that immediately happens. But sometimes, all of us have our strengths in their own ways. Sometimes that can be also challenging if somewhere that alignment is not happening. So that is another challenge. At a school like ours, I think the material and the logistic issues are much smaller because everyone is helpful in a way to get the things moving. And being a residential school, it's very dynamic. We are here together 24 by 7. So in that sense, that part was less of a challenge, I would say. Uh, you know and we also, of course, had number of people who could help us from outside. Also our own staff engagement, the non-teaching staff engagement was initially, but once people got to know and got engaged in a certain way, as I said, even a mali or a gardener is a teacher. If one can work with that feeling, there a lot can happen in a school like us or any school for that matter. So can we bring that quality, that inspiration, that motivation in everyone to see that we are doing something for the child, and in the process we are also growing, we are also learning. And I think that openness is something which can be challenging at times, but it can be very easy on the other side also. Yeah, maybe Prachi can add.
I feel teachers are often strapped for time. So getting that commitment, that time commitment, and making sure that people are willing to sacrifice some of their class time to do this work is sometimes challenging. And the other challenge sometimes is with certain age groups, especially teenagers, to get them to see value in the engagement can be challenging. So then it is a curriculum design or a lesson design problem in some ways. And how do you create those engagements so that um, they are able to engage and able to really see value at least by the end of it, may not be in the beginning. So those are, I feel, two major challenges. And once those are in place, then it works smoothly. And it requires a little bit of a leadership push also for it to really happen.
Thank you, Prachi and Milind, and thank you, Jaspreet, for your question. Um, I think this brings us to the end of today's SharEd. Thank you both.
Madam, may I have for 1 minute, madam, please?
So you can stay back and please ask your question. I will just close so that anybody with time commitments can just, we can do a nice.
Okay, madam, no issues. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ritika, we are fine. We have some time, so we can answer if there are any questions.
So,
anyway, we can be of any help.
Definitely. So anyone with questions will stay back. I will just close so that everyone else can drop off and continue with their day. So want to thank you both, Milind and Prachi, for taking the time to share the incredible work that you have done at Sahyadri and to share the hope for the future at Kalavanam. And thank you all for your questions. Thank you to our audience. You really enriched the discussion. I just want to hand it over to Netra now to formally close. Yeah, over to you, Netra.
Thank you, Ritika. Thank you all for joining us today. And what I understood from today's session is ecological consciousness is not an add-on to the education. It's a foundation, a way of thinking and sensing and relating to the world with awareness, care and responsibility. That's what we saw in the Milind's slide. कि बच्चे कैसे इतना अच्छे तरीके से इन्वॉल्वमेंट था उनका in every activities, right? So I would like to give a big shout out to all the young minds who showed up with so much of curiosity, creativity, and care for today. And to you both, what I could see is both of you, your thoughtful planning and your gentle presence and ability to hold the space for inquiry in children, making the experience meaningful there. I think so, right? So what I think is, and what I can see is, you both have just not teaching it, but you are cultivating awareness also, and that's very powerful, right? So thank you for guiding with heart, humility, and purpose. Thank you so much for having us here. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you all. And those who have questions can stay back, and others can drop off. Thank you so much.
Before we take a question, we'd like to thank some of the people who've journeyed with us. We are only representing the efforts that have happened on campus. So thanks to Sarath for spearheading the ESD program. Sarath, I know you're in the audience. And Srinidhi for all the amazing work you've done. And Reena, Pradnya, Deepa.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, as I said, it was just convergence of so many good things in our lives which has made it happen, and we are just flowing with it. Whatever happens will happen. The way will show the way, but we are just there. Yes.
Thank
So
you.
thank you, Shubhangi and uh, sorry, I didn't get the name. Ritika and Himangi, right? Yeah.
Netra.
Thank you, Netra. Thank you for your kind words. Yes, thank you.